All right, how's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's enjoying your weekend. I hope the weather's good where you're at. It finally cleared up here where I'm at, so that's all nice. So I just want to go over a couple things. Nothing too significant has happened except for one thing, and it didn't happen in the news. It just deals with other things that I watch. We're going to go back to the hopscotch board here just for a minute because I think on the 30th, so this whole block right here. See, that's a block onto itself, right? Because now, not necessarily people who leave comments for me on my videos, but when I talk to people in the world about this stuff, they don't know how I get 10,000 years of cycling in a 6,000 year life according to the Bible. Because people swear by that thing, and they, in a lot of ways, they should. It holds a lot of truth in there. It's just you have to come at it from the other perspective. But anyway, it is what it is. So this is 1,000 years. This is 1,000 years. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years. Okay. The mirroring of Noah, because okay, so going from February into March and most of March, right, is the same thing that's gone on from the last half of March going, through April into this beginning of May. The same thing. The only difference was, we had a visit from a king. There's different things that happen within that time frame because it's one reality and another reality, and then the blended. I'm guessing. I don't know. All I know is that on the 30th, April 30th, something significant happened. I don't know what, and I can't even explain to you how I know this. It just has to do with things that I watch and the different cycles and other things that I've been watching. That timeline disappeared Saturday night, so I'm not sure what happened there. But now, one other thing I didn't mention when I brought this up. Okay, so Shiva, we always see her, multiple arms, and like, okay, so this, we'll say this is a Stargate, and just like in the movie Stargate, you got to have certain things in certain positions to open the gate, okay, to the female. But that's the female out of sync, just like I showed. Oh my goodness, where'd I put that? I showed this one time as man out of sync. Okay, so you've got the man out of sync, the female out of sync. It just is what it is. That's just the way I see it, and also the way I see all this. And I tell when I talk to people other than here, like on YouTube as well, I tell them, the biggest reason they don't tell everybody what's going on here, in my opinion, again, is if you've ever seen the movie They Live. If you haven't, check it out. I think you can get it. You can watch it on YouTube. In that movie, he gets the glasses and it basically opens his eyes to everything around him, including the aliens, right? And so through the course of the movie, he teams up with the black guy, and those two go on this tag team thing of blowing the aliens away. And they end up dying in the end too, right? But that's the whole reason why. If everyone knew what was going on, they probably would literally just be out running around with shotguns shooting people. And the whole point of this is to quit killing people. That's why I've said for a long time, it may appear like they're trying to cause a civil uproar and get everybody at each other's throats, but that's just part of the play. So it's going to appear that way because they really don't want that to happen. Now, I know there's people in this world that, man, that guy needs to just put a bullet in his head. Well, again, that's everything has its own right to live, so to speak. It was all created from the same source. So, something happened on April 30th. Now, I did And because one other thing I want to touch on, because I did show this a long time ago. Maverick sent me a little collage. Okay, so now like Maverick, people who don't know him, or maybe do know him, I don't know. He moved to North Carolina a long time ago, took his bus up there. He lives in his bus on a mountain. He stares at the sky. And that isn't all he does. He's very busy. But when he was into his photo sky capturing stuff, this is what he did. Okay, he kept seeing stuff like this in the sky, just like everybody else does, shadows and whatever. Okay, and so he took all the shadows and the different pieces of the sky parts that he had, and he did overlays and color saturations and whatnot, and this is what he came up with. And I've showed this before. And that, I do believe, fits right into where I was showing 6-7P, and right here where the heart of the matter, this is the matter. This is all the stars, everything physical from this reality is right here. That's all that's left. Everything else is dark, a void. This right here is all the matter. It's all that's left, all the trees, everything from that reality. And then this little globule right here, I do think, is what Maverick took a photograph of. That right there. Not sure. Like I said, like I said, a long time ago, I gave up trying to figure out what this world was trying to tell me. Especially based on, that same 8-year-old little kid had a conversation with his parents in a living room one day about the human race was going to go extinct. How did he know that? I do not know. As far as this reality, all this, I don't know. Like I said, I stuck mainly to my music growing up. I did my sports, I did my stuff, whatever. So that's where we're at. Like I said, I think something happened on the 30th. I think we ended something. And I think we're standing right here. Now, I don't know if we have to, back when we played hopscotch, you got this far, you turned around and went back down, right? So I don't know if we've got another countdown from 10 to 1 going on from the 30th to, whatever. And it may not even be that, because it may just be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, right? Because if we're going back to the beginning of creation, that's when man was created, was on the 6th day, right? So that would be May 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in there. Or it could be May the 4th be with you on the 4th. It could be tonight. All I know is there's a lot of timelines that we've already, like I said, there was a big something that went down on the 30th. And again, another thing that I find funny, sometimes I get a lot of grief about bringing up the movies, but in the Star Wars movie series, First Contact, number 8, they have to chase the Borg back in time, because they go back in time to like the year 2163, so many years after the Third World War, blah, blah, blah. So they promote all that same garbage in the movies, okay? But what I find funny about that is in that particular movie, First Contact Day was April 5th, 2163. Now forget the 2163. But April 5th. Remember what happened on April 5th? That was the same day that 3i Atlas made its closest approach to the sun. And that date on Star Trek was their first contact. I don't believe a lot in coincidences that date just happened to show up and with that event happening. So I don't know. There's another movie that came into play at the same time. Does anybody remember The Fifth Element, or did you ever see it? Bruce Willis, right? A futuristic thing, deals with ancient, stone carvings and whatnot. And they get these blocks. It's, earth, wind, water, fire. The fifth element's that girl. And they gather her up in that room underground, and they activate the 4 different blocks because that evil thing's coming to the earth. And all Bruce Willis has to do is tell her that he loves her, right? And her head tips back, and a beam of light shoots out of her mouth and destroys the big evil thing, right? Well, again, at the same time, that first contact date was showing up on 3i Atlas, making its closest approach to the sun, and then it came out the backside, and everybody said it broke up into a lot of pieces, right? Well, at the same time that was going on, lo and behold, right out of the movie The Fifth Element, this was going on. Now, right here, they're saying April 17th. I don't know how long that thing was blowing light, but it was all in that same time period when this came out. So I'm not real sure about exactly when this photo was taken. But again, it's just kind of weird, isn't it? I just, like I said, I just put this stuff out there, and I'll let you guys make your own determination on stuff like that. Because like I said, the stuff we don't know is, it just becomes pure speculation, and we really don't know all of it. None of it. I don't. I just think I know, right? And it gets confirmed just watching the stuff that plays out. Like I said, if you go back and watch that video I did way years ago about conclusion to it all, I mentioned the directed energy weapons in the Ford in the Caribbean then. Now, did I know at that point it was actually going to play out, going and getting Maduro a couple of years later? Nope. But again, based on what I put on video and that happened, that kind of confirms that I was seeing the right thing there, at least anyway. So it is what it is. So hey, everybody enjoy your weekend. Get off here and go do something in mine. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.